What if the most influential philosopher of his time left behind no written work at all? What if his teachings, passed solely through spoken word, shaped the course of Western and Eastern thought, and yet his name remains unfamiliar to many today? This is the enigmatic story of Ammonius Saccas, a thinker whose voice echoed through the minds of giants, though history recorded little of his own. Born in Alexandria during the 2nd century, Ammonius entered a world ablaze with intellectual energy, cultural exchanges, and religious debates. Alexandria was no ordinary city. Founded by Alexander the Great and home to the famous library and museum, it stood as a beacon for scholars, mystics, scientists, and philosophers from across the known world. Here, Greek rationalism met Egyptian spirituality. Jewish thought mingled with Indian philosophy. Traders brought not only goods, but also stories, myths, and ideas from distant lands. This unique environment fostered both brilliance and contention. Philosophy, at that time, was not confined to quiet study halls. It spilled into the streets, the markets, the public squares. Stoics urged their listeners towards self-discipline, endurance, and a life aligned with nature's reason. Epicureans, often misunderstood, encouraged the pursuit of peace through moderation and thoughtful pleasure. The followers of Plato spoke of ideal forms, eternal, unchanging truths that stood behind the shifting illusions of the material world. Aristotelians argued for empirical observation and the logical analysis of cause and effect. But these groups, while sharing the same city, frequently remained trapped within their own echo chambers. Their debates often became defensive, their disagreements hardened into rigid doctrines. Dialogue gave way to polemic. Each school guarded its own territory, less interested in understanding others than in proving them wrong. It was within this noisy arena of competing philosophies that Ammonius Saccas quietly set himself apart. Unlike many of his contemporaries, he did not seek victory in argument. He was not concerned with demolishing rival views or securing allegiance to one banner. Instead, Ammonius believed that beneath these varied perspectives flowed a deeper current of shared insight. The quarrels between Stoics and Platonists, between Epicureans and Aristotelians, were, in his eyes, misunderstandings, differences in language, emphasis, or method, rather than true opposition. He proposed that wisdom was not the exclusive property of any single tradition. Truth, he argued, was too expansive to be contained within one system of thought. Rather than choosing sides, Ammonius encouraged his students to look for harmony beneath the surface. Where others saw contradiction, he perceived reflection. Where many clung to division, he offered synthesis. His own life seemed to embody this principle of humility. The surname Saccas, thought to refer to his early work as a dockhand or porter carrying sacks, suggests that Ammonius did not begin life among the elite. There are no tales of aristocratic upbringing or prestigious academic appointments. Instead, his reputation grew slowly, not through official titles, but through word of mouth, through the quality of his thinking, the depth of his insight, and the quiet power of his presence. This approach shaped every aspect of his teaching. Ammonius was not interested in building a school around his name. He left no treatises, no manifestos. Instead, he taught directly, personally, through spoken dialogue. According to Porphyry, who chronicled the life of Plotinus, Ammonius required his students to swear an oath of secrecy. They were forbidden from publishing his ideas or turning his words into slogans. Philosophy, for Ammonius, was not about winning debates or attracting followers. It was about cultivating the soul. It was a living practice, not a written formula. Among those who gathered around him was Plotinus, perhaps his most renowned disciple, who would later formalize many of the ideas he absorbed from his teacher into the system now known as Neoplatonism. But even Plotinus, who did eventually allow his student Porphyry to compile and publish his thoughts, remained deeply influenced by the spirit of Ammonius's method. The insistence that philosophy must be lived, that it must shape character and perception, not merely accumulate abstract theories. The influence of Ammonius did not stop with Plotinus. Early Christian thinkers, including Origen, are believed by some sources to have attended his lectures, though the details of these relationships remain contested. Some accounts suggest that Ammonius himself may have been raised as a Christian, though whether he remained within the church or adopted a more inclusive philosophical stance is still debated by historians. What seems certain is that he refused to be boxed in by religious affiliation. He approached philosophy as a universal endeavour, not as the possession of one faith over another. This openness allowed him to draw connections across seemingly disparate traditions. His teachings reflected a belief in what some have called the ancient philosophy, the idea that long before the divisions of schools and sects, there existed a primal wisdom shared across cultures and ages. In this view, Plato's forms, Aristotle's reason, the mysticism of the East, and even the spiritual teachings of emerging Christianity were not competing truths, but different expressions of the same underlying reality. Ammonius invited his students to peel away the layers of dogma, ritual, and rhetoric to seek what these traditions had in common: the pursuit of the good, the contemplation of the divine, the effort to understand the soul's place in the universe. He did not offer easy answers. He did not codify his philosophy into a fixed system. Instead, he guided others toward their own discoveries, believing that insight must come from within, nurtured by honest questioning and sincere reflection. This deliberate avoidance of dogmatism may explain why so little survives about his exact teachings. Without writings or formal doctrines, Ammonius's philosophy is known largely through the words of his students and the shadow his ideas cast on the thinkers who followed. Yet this absence of written work was not a failure or a mission. It was a conscious choice, consistent with his belief that philosophy should not be reduced to a set of conclusions on a page. It was meant to be an experience, a relationship between teacher and learner, a process of unfolding understanding. By stepping away from the usual platforms of recognition, books, schools, disciples eager to publish his words, Ammonius left behind a different kind of influence, one that resisted ownership, one that encouraged curiosity and humility over certainty. Ammonius Saccas died around AD 242. His name does not appear in long catalogues of philosophical texts. There are no surviving letters, no preserved speeches. Yet through the minds he shaped and the paths of inquiry he inspired, his thought continues to resonate. Not through monuments of stone or volumes of parchment, but through the living questions he urged his students to pursue, and the quiet insistence that wisdom belongs not to those who shout the loudest, but to those who listen most deeply.